Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Kywil YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be starting a new thing. Obviously, it's going to be a bit different because you're seeing my face and not just some fucking gameplay. Not that there's anything wrong with just gameplay, I guess. Still watch the gameplay videos, please. This marks the start of a new series called Kywil's Collection, where I'll be taking a look at some of the games that I own. It could be a game that I've played several times. Maybe I've beaten it. Maybe I haven't. It could be a game that I haven't played at all. Could be just collecting dust or sitting on my PS4's hard drive. This is a way for me to play some games without just uploading a bunch of kind of gameplay episodes over and over again. And then I can kind of take a look at how I got into the game and my first experiences with it, as well as playing it again and giving a fresh kind of mini review of the game. So the first game we're going to take a look at today is Ori and the Blind Motherfucking Forest. It's a great time to revisit this game with the sequel coming out up in February, and it's just a game that I knew I would love to sit down and talk about. If you're not familiar with Ori and the Blind Forest, do not worry at all. I'll be talking about it a lot during this video. But first, I wanted to talk about the thing that drew me to this game and got me so excited to play it for the very first time. Before I'd even played Ori and the Blind Forest, I had listened to the soundtrack at least a dozen or 24 times, and it became a big part of my life. During my senior year of college, I listened to Ori and the Blind Forest soundtrack pretty much when I was doing everything. Studying, walking to class, going to bed, going to bed. You name it, I was probably listening to this soundtrack. It was probably playing in the background. I'm pretty sure I found the soundtrack on Reddit or something like that, like in a game music Reddit, and I was like, oh shit, this like sounds really fucking cool, and I just ended up listening to it all the time. I got fucking addicted. It was on fucking Spotify. I was like, shit, I can listen to this wherever I want. It's for a very good reason. Every track elicits a different emotion from the listener to represent the different things that are happening in the game, like most video game soundtracks do. The best part is it's actually performed by a 56-piece ensemble orchestra, the Nashville Music Scoring Orchestra, to be exact. I had to look that up on Steam. I won't lie, I didn't pay attention in the credits. Basically, this soundtrack is fucking beautiful, and even if you haven't played the game yet, I highly suggest you go and listen to this soundtrack. It's on Spotify, and you can buy it on Steam for like $10. It's incredibly worth it, and I would just fucking listen to it. Just do it. Just do it. Now, after listening to this for about 1 or 2 years, I actually finally got around to buying this fucking game. So some of the games I'm going to talk about in Kywil's collection are going to have awesome backstories of me saving up for them, or finding it like as a really sweet find at a garage sale, or fucking pre-ordering it and waiting in a line, or driving around to a bunch of different, stores on release day just to find it sold out everywhere. But Ori and the Blind Forest was pretty easy to get. I found it on like a Steam winter sale, like half off or 75% off. I got it for like $5. But yeah, nice. Even though it had already been 2 years that this game had been out and I hadn't played it, I think it took me another year or so before I actually played this game. It just sat around, not even installed on my computer. And then one faithful morning, when I was sitting in my closet office, you guys remember the closet office? Back with Kywil's closet? Whew, those are some memories. Ooh, blurry camera. But that one faithful morning, I decided to finally play this game. Bang. I loved this game the first time I played it. I think I played it for about 3 days or so, and then I got like 100%. I didn't play it for another like 2 months, and then I got back into it again, and I just speed ran it basically. I didn't actually speed ran it. I just got the achievement for beating it in under 3 hours, which was really fucking cool though. And then I had 100% completion, 2 other playthroughs of it, and then I kind of stopped playing it. Until now, when I had to make a video about it, and I was like, I'm gonna play this game again, and I'm gonna give you guys my fresh kind of mini review thoughts on this game, having just played it in the past week or so. Now, I've already talked about the soundtrack for this game, so I should talk about the sound design as well, right? The sound design is very well done. Every attack has a good sound to it. Every jump has a good sound to it. Abilities have good sounds to it. Enemies have good death sounds. Ori has good death sounds. Everything is really helped bring to life by the sound design as well as the soundtrack. Aside from the audio aspects of the game, the visual aspects of Ori and the Blind Forest are also incredibly well done. You can tell that the artists for this game took painstaking time putting in and making this world come to life, drawing all these environments that you visit throughout the game and making sure that everything looked and great and wasn't out of place. It's just very, very well put together. I mean, honestly, I can't really talk about it too much, but just look at some of this footage of me playing the game when I was replaying it. It looks fucking beautiful. There's beautiful trees and colors. There's swamps that look kind of disgusting. There's cool lava shit. There's ice stuff. There's this, there's that. I mean, things pop and are kind of neon, and there's little collectible glowy things, and it's great. It looks amazing. So yeah, the game looks great, it sounds great, but how the fuck does it play? What am I even playing here? What kind of game is Ori and the Blind Forest? If you're familiar with the term Metroidvania, then you have a certain idea of what's going to be happening here in Metroid and the Blind Forest. It's a side-scrolling action platformer where you fight enemies and get your character progressively stronger through collectibles and upgrades and getting different abilities that let you access different areas throughout the game until you find the new areas, and then you beat the game and you beat the final boss. It's good and fun and everything. Like I said, it's an action platformer, so there's sometimes platforming heavy sections and sometimes enemy heavy sections and sometimes things that uniquely combine both. There's also a very interesting ability in this game that you get within the first third of the game. It's called Bash. Bash is probably the coolest ability in the game because it allows for so many traversal options, because you can jump off of enemies or their projectiles and send them in different directions, slowing down time. It's really a very, very versatile skill and ability to have, and it allows for a lot of different things to be done in the game. There are a lot of other abilities that you can use and do use, but Bash definitely comes up the most. For as much as Ori gets right with traversal, there are two areas in the game which really slow down the momentum, and I don't really like them because of that, this being the Misty Woods and the Forlorn Ruins. They have you carrying things that allow you not to jump and use Bash as much, which make it not as fun, but the rest of the game is fine, and these two sections don't ruin the game overall. They're not the worst thing in the world. They're not shitty, but they slow the game down just a tad. To wrap things up for this mini review, I'll just talk a little bit about the story. It's pretty straightforward, with a tale about a tree in the forest, and Ori is the light that falls from the tree, and then this thing called Naru comes and finds Ori. They become best buds, and then tragedy strikes, and there's an owl named Kuro, and you have to bring light back to it with this little guy called Sane, and there's a lot of little things here and there throughout the game story until you get to the end, but I won't spoil how the game ends in case you want to play it for yourself before the sequel comes out in February. So to wrap things up for this first edition of Kywil's collection, just Ori and the Blind Forest is a great game. I suggest everybody go out and play it. It's super fun from beginning to end. If you like completing games, there's plenty of collectible stuff to get that 100% completion bonus. There's a lot of fun to be had just playing through the game casually, trying to speedrun it. Whatever you want to do, this game has a lot for people who like these side-scrolling action platformers, which Ori and the Blind Forest just does this Metroidvania quote-unquote genre very, very well. Anyway, as always, I've been Kywil. This has been my collection, Ori and the Blind Forest, ? And I'll see you guys around in the next time. Goodbye! I have something in there that I can use, I'm sure.